Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. And if you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you would already know that the title of tonight's show is Check and Double Check. And the reason why it would be a good idea for you to do that this week is because there are 3 wonderful planets all in the sign of Virgo right now. And Virgo rules analysis, problem solving, good time management. It rules the traditional 6th house of your employment and your job duties, and it rules the whole healthcare field and occupations which are of service to others. And so that could be nursing, or it could be being an accountant, because Virgo rules banking, and it does rule accountability as well. And it rules teachers and the police and firemen, or maybe social workers, or even community volunteers, people who want to help others. And so Virgo is a mutable sign, and the mutable signs are generally very flexible and adaptable, and they have the ability to see someone else's point of view. It doesn't mean they don't have their own opinions, but they can understand other people's viewpoints as well. So the 3 wonderful planets are Venus, Mercury, the actual ruler of Virgo, and Jupiter are all in that sign, and they are beautifully trining Pluto, which is retrograde in Capricorn. Those 4 planets are trining also the sign of Taurus. So Taurus rules the traditional 2nd house of how you make your money and what you spend it on. So Taurus is a fixed financial sign and does rule investments. Virgo rules your job duties and your health as well. And then Capricorn rules time, and it rules retirement and pension plans, and it also rules your 10th house of career and your standing in the community. So there can be a lot of emphasis on good problem solving and on working hard and on paying attention to performance issues or job duties or anything that has to do with money or your health. And the reason why it is a good idea to check and double check things right now is because there are actually 6 planets in the mutable signs all squaring and opposing each other. So that is a very harsh T-cross. There are 4 mutable signs: Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. And so the 3 planets in Virgo, which certainly emphasize fact-finding and problem-solving and details, are being opposed strongly by Neptune in Pisces, and Neptune is retrograde, or going back in its orbit. And since Pisces rules hidden things, and it rules deception and omissions, and it can rule people who absolutely refuse to face facts, now that that planet is retrograde and going back over its orbit over areas that it's already covered, there could be a wealth of information that can be exposed. Or you could interpret that as this is a time when people can no longer afford to kid themselves or to be in denial about facts. Because remember, those 3 planets in Virgo are very strongly opposing that Neptune. The 4 planets by themselves are all harshly squared by both Mars and Saturn in Sagittarius. Mars is moving much more closer to Saturn, and so those are 2 malefic planets. And that simply means, since they are now conjuncting each other, that each of the planets' power is heightened. And so since they're malefic planets, they can cause a lot of problems. So with these 6 planets that are all squaring and opposing each other in mutable signs, it really will pay you to check and double check things this week. And don't take anything for granted, not your health, not your job, certainly not your career, not your investments. Don't take anything for granted right now, because the people that are generally versatile and adaptable are not feeling like that right now, and they're not feeling flexible either. So there can be a really severe standoff because of that. And since Neptune is going backward in its orbit, the possibility of deceptions and omissions and cover-ups can come to the surface right now, and that could generate a really horrible backlash that could result in anger, resentment, or violence. Remember, Neptune is squaring Mars, and Mars is a planet of war. So it could generate a backlash of violence as well when a wealth, an absolute huge wealth of information is exposed in one way or another. In other words, there won't be any way to get away from the facts once they are exposed, because there will be so many of them. And that is why it really pays you to check and double check this week. There are other reasons to be very careful too. So if you are about to sign a contract or you're contemplating that, you need to ask yourself what isn't there and what is being omitted. And that's because if you and someone else are taking for granted that you agree on something but it isn't written down, that could prove to be a very expensive loophole. And that could actually be quite expensive in the long run, or really cost you a lot of money. And since the Sun in Leo is squaring the Moon today in Scorpio, which is a fixed financial sign, it can indicate indecision and confusion, either about a leadership role or about financing something. And so that's a good reason to check and double check. And on top of that, there are 4 retrograde planets: Uranus in Aries, Neptune in Pisces, Pluto in Capricorn, and that Saturn in Sagittarius. And with so many planets going retrograde or backward, it might be more prudent for you, as you're checking and double checking things, to perhaps just step back and start over again. Because if you're not sure about something, or if you suspect someone is sort of painting a lot of blue sky right now and not exactly telling you the whole truth, you could end up being the victim of a scam. Or if there is a lot of information that is uncovered and it promotes a backlash of anger, resentment, or violence, you could be victimized by that. So this is a very good time to be extra careful and to not assume that everyone is in agreement, because I don't think they will be this week. All right, what does that mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, for you, I think that you can be swept up in a lot of pressing matters right now that could even be somewhat stressful. And the reason why is that Mars and Saturn, remember Mars is your ruler, are both trining your sun, but they can be putting an awful lot of pressure on you to get some things done real quick, Aries. And yet the Sun in Leo is also trining your sun. And since Uranus, the 3rd malefic planet, is in your sign, but it is retrograde, it simply means that just as you're about to zoom forward and do things your way, there can be some reminders that other people want you to do things their way instead, and that could create the stress in your life. So you could have quite a bit of energy right now, Aries, but it might be divided toward things that are extremely stressful and problematic, or perhaps even violent, and then things that somebody else in a leadership position wants you to do. And so you can almost feel like you're caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. And that is why you need to do just the same thing that everyone else needs to do, and that is check and double check things, and be very, very careful not to respond too quickly to the pressure that people with perhaps malevolent intentions can put on you, Aries. So it is not a bad idea to sort of step back and don't promise anything more than you can really deliver. And in fact, give yourself a lot of extra time if you can. Because there will be delay, because there are 4 retrograde planets. So I don't think anyone's going to get things done quite as quickly as they would like to, including you. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, remember I said there are 4 planets in the earth signs. 3 of them, Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter, are all in Virgo, trining your sun, and Venus is your own ruler, so now it is in a wonderful position to favor you, Taurus. And Pluto in Capricorn is also trining your sun. So as far as looking over details and your health and looking at the cost-cutting steps that you have taken this year, I think when you're sort of accounting for all of that and adding things up, you can be quite pleased with the small but steady efforts that have amounted to something pretty nice for you, Taurus. And I don't mean that it's a flash in the pan. I mean that there can be small things that you've been working on all year that are common sense and that really can be making you happy right now, and perhaps a little richer as well. So that is all to the good, and it means you are in control of your investments, and you can be aware of what your job duties are, and you can be quite responsive to them. But the problem is that the sun in Leo is squaring your sun. So once again, someone else wants to be the boss or the leader and do things their way. And you may not actually agree with them on everything, and that could cause a little bit of tension. And then the moon in Scorpio is opposing your sun sign. And that simply means that there are some extra bills that do have to be paid. And you know, yours is the sign of the good provider. And now that your ruler is trining your sign, Taurus, I think it is really the perfect time to share the wealth. And that is because love is so important to you. Well, it's important to others as well. And if you work hard and you want to share your bounty with others, then they can love you and respect you for that. And I think that that would make you happy as well. So I hope you do that. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, yours is a mutable sign. And so this is an extremely dangerous time for you. And that is because there are just too many planets in harsh aspect to your sun sign. So you can't win this week, Gemini. And since your sign does rule communication and change, and there aren't any planets in any of the air signs to fortify your sign, it simply means you'd be a lot better getting somebody else to do your talking for you. And you'd need to keep your back to the wall this week, Gemini, because Neptune in Pisces is squaring your sun, which means that there are a whole lot of people that aren't telling you the whole truth, and they could play that little bait and switch game. In other words, they could bait you or goad you into saying things that could really result in entrapment and could do you a lot of harm. So this is why you've got to zip the lip this week, Gemini. It isn't going to do you any good to express your opinion. So get other people to do your talking for you. And they are around and they're your friends. So, you know, just try to divert people that are coming at you this week because they don't have any good intentions, at least not on your behalf, Gemini. And then Venus, Mercury, your own ruler, and Jupiter in Virgo are squaring your sun, and that simply means you could be a little bit too extravagant, and so you really need to sort of watch the purse strings as well, and you have to not make any promises that you do not have enough time to really follow through on right now. So that's another reason to be quiet and to check and double check things. And then worst of all, the thing that can generate anger, resentment, and violence is that Mars and Saturn, which are conjuncting each other and extremely volatile and dangerous, are opposing your sun sign. And that is an indication that there are people with old grudges that would resort to violence or cruelty in order to sort of pay you back for something, Gemini. And that is why you need to be very careful. There isn't a way in the world that you can influence other people's opinions right now, and that is because people who are generally adaptable and flexible are not being like that right now, so they're not listening. And that's why you could get in deep trouble this week, Gemini. So do get other people to do your talking for you and be as quiet as you can and stay out of the limelight because there is danger for you this week. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, a Cancer, it's good that the moon in Scorpio is trining your sun and Neptune in Pisces is also trining your sun, because it means there might be some more money coming your way, or it could come through a woman, or it could come through a family member, or some sort of real estate negotiation. So that is good for you, Cancer. And if there is a wealth of information that is revealed, it is going to validate some of your hunches, Cancer, because I don't think you're going to be surprised at who is exposed, or at some sort of a cover-up behind the scene, or some sort of omission that finally comes to light. And I think you're going to have had a hunch all along that those things were going on. So I think you're somewhat protected this week, Cancer. And if there is a disagreement among others, I think that as long as you just sort of stick with your family and your home, you're going to be fine. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, the sun is in your sign, and it's the ruler of your sign, which can make you pretty powerful, Leo. But the moon in Scorpio is squaring it, so the lights are squaring each other, and that can create indecision or confusion. But at the same time, Leo, there is a grand trine in fire signs. The sun in your sign is being trined by Uranus in Aries, and also by that volatile Mars and Saturn conjunction in Sagittarius. And so I think that you're sort of fired up and energized, and you can be very, very busy this week, Leo, and that is fine as long as you understand that you could be trying something new that could work out pretty well, but you would have to do it according to sort of the strict rules and regulations of someone else. So you're going to have to toe the line as well, Leo. But that's fine. The only thing I think you can be unsure about is the money. And by that, I mean you may not, as you're trying something new, you may not be sure how much money is really going to come your way because of that. But I would say go ahead and give it a try anyway. So I hope that you're open to change right now, because the stars are with you, Leo. And as long as the sun's in your sign, I think that you can do just fine, but you will be pretty busy. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, lucky you. There are 3 wonderful planets in your sign: Venus, and then Mercury, your own ruler, and Jupiter as well. Venus has just entered your sign, and Jupiter is about to leave your sign on September 9th. So Venus is going to come up, and it is actually going to conjunct Jupiter in your sign, and a Venus-Jupiter conjunction is a marriage tie. And so there is the possibility that you could certainly meet the right person and perhaps be thinking about marriage, Virgo, and that would be great. And yet, there can be all kinds of obstacles, because I said there are 6 planets in mutable signs squaring and opposing your sign. And so, you know, you're going to have your hands full of people who are not quite telling you the whole truth, and of other people who can be extremely jealous and bear a grudge against you because you are so talented and because you are shining pretty well right now and you're very popular. Well, you can't help their resentment. You know, there are small minds around, Virgo. Yours isn't one of them. But instead, I think that you should be a little bit self-protective this week, Virgo. It isn't that you're not doing everything right, it's that other people aren't appreciating it very much the way they usually do. So stick to what upper management wants you to do, because they like what's going on. Pluto is trining your sun, and your investments can be going well too. It's just that you can't please everybody right now, Virgo, and if I were you, I wouldn't even try, because some people are just not in the mood to listen, so save your breath. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, you just have an awful lot of good things going on in the background of your life. And what it amounts to is that there are a lot of people around that can be helpful advisors to you. And they have just easy, common sense solutions or suggestions, and those can really pay off. And the reason why is that the sun in Leo, which indicates a leader that can be attracted to you, or it could indicate the possibility of a new love affair, or very good news about children or sports or the entertainment world. That sun in Leo is sextiling your sun, and Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter in Virgo are also sextiling your sun. So those 4 planets right behind your sun sign are giving you a lot of support right now, Libra. And even though there aren't any planets in the air signs, you are going through a period of transition where there is a lot of loving support building up in the background of your life. I'm not saying everyone can see it outwardly, but it can be of great comfort to you as it helps you to transition to happier times that are coming this fall. Congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time with the moon in your sign that there can be some more money coming to you. It might come through a family member or some sort of real estate transaction, or you yourself may be thinking of supporting somebody else, perhaps with a little financial support, and that could be a family member as well or a friend. So that's good. Neptune in Pisces is trining the moon in your sign, and when Neptune and the moon trine each other, that can be very inspirational. And so you could be thinking of the best for everyone right now and wanting that, and that would be just fine. But the sun in Leo is squaring your sun sign, and so there can be some confusion or uncertainty either about a financial affair or about something that pertains to a leader or to children or love affairs or sports or the entertainment world. Maybe you don't know exactly how to pay for everything right now. That could be the uncertainty. Right ahead of your sign are Mars and Saturn in Sagittarius, so you may have to work very hard, or you may be exposed to people who sort of have a chip on their shoulder and can be almost violent and argumentative. I urge you to stay away from those people. They don't have your best interest in mind, Scorpio. And so this is a time when you really do need to sort of keep your back to the wall and guard yourself. And that is because if there is a secret that or a cover-up that you're involved with, it will be uncovered and a wealth of information will come out. So you would need to prepare for that as well. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarius? Well, Sagittarius, you sure are in the thick of things, and I'll bet you're really busy and very stressed out right now. And that is because Mars is moving closer and closer in its alignment to Saturn, and those two malefic planets in your sign are up to absolutely no good. And so with Neptune in Pisces squaring those two planets in your sign, and Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter in Virgo also squaring them, it simply means you can be under a lot of pressure to do things that are quite exacting, and yet you don't know exactly who to trust. People could be telling you half the truth, but not all of it. And on top of that, there can be so many facts to face that you can be a little bit angry at the pressure that you're under right now. But I don't see a way to escape that, but except by trying something new and sort of revolutionary or new and futuristic, which you could do. Uranus is trining your sun, and so is the sun in Leo. So you could be inspired by a leader right now, but you could have a lot of problems and a lot of stress on your shoulders right now, Sagittarius. And I'm not so sure you can escape everything right now, because people who are usually flexible are not agreeing with you at the moment. So boy, I think you should try to use your energy for the good right now if you can, and try not to promise more than you can deliver, because that'll just wear you out. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time when you can be quite pleased with the small details in your life that involve cost cutting or improvements in your health, or simply job duties that you are getting better and better at. And so, you know, even if it's just through common sense solutions or instructions, easy instructions that other people are giving you, you can really be sort of on the right track to enhance your career if you want to, Capricorn. And that is simply by sort of getting all your ducks in a row and lining things up in a way that makes a lot of sense to you. So that is all to the good. You still have to allow for the occasional surprise, and that is because Uranus in Aries, which is backed up by a grand trine in fire signs, is still squaring Pluto in your sign. But all those planets in Virgo are really helping you out right now, Capricorn. So I think you're going to come up with some good answers in an easy way right now, which will be enjoyable for you. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, The sun in Leo is opposing your sun, and remember, yours is a fixed sign, and it's an air sign, and there aren't any planets in air sign. So somebody else really wants to call the shots right now and have everything their own way, and they're concerned about their future. They are not concerned about your future, Aquarius. And that can be a little hard to live with right now. And then the moon in Scorpio is squaring your sun, which means there can be some uncertainty or confusion about a financial affair or even a tax matter. And so, you sort of have to walk on eggshells this week, Aquarius, because there is enough uncertainty around, coupled with the fact that usually agreeable people are not getting along, and a cover-up can be revealed, that I think there can just be an awful lot that you're not too sure of right now, Aquarius. And so it might be more prudent for you to back up a little bit and sort of start over if you can, because there will be delays. No matter what you want, you'll be facing delay. And that's because we all will, because of the 4 retrograde planets. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, those 3 planets in Virgo, really good planets, Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter, are all opposing your sun sign, which is pretty much demanding that you face facts right now, and that there isn't any way for you to keep kidding yourself about something or covering something up. It's not going to happen, Pisces, because there can be too much of a demand from others for information, and you've got to come up with the answers. And on top of that, you can be facing hostility from others because Mars and Saturn in Sagittarius are squaring Neptune in your sign. So this is a moment of truth for you, Pisces. You can get help from somebody, maybe even financial help from a woman, because the moon in Scorpio is trining your sun, but that is not enough to offset the 6 planets in mutable signs that are really challenging each other right now, and particularly challenging you. So as you go back and re-examine information, you will have to come up with good answers right now, Pisces, but you can do it by a thorough examination. And if you've been kidding yourself about anything, now is the time to turn around and face the truth instead. And there is also the possibility that you may be involved in exposing some sort of a cover-up right now, but that would be for the right reason, Pisces. So if you have some answers, I hope you share them with somebody. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show anytime you want by subscribing to it on our website, starborninstitute.org. Bye.